What is going on, guys? Your boy Rigo checking in again for another video. We're going in again on the 30 for 30. 30 videos, 30 weeks, consistent real estate information, knowledge, process, details about what you can get more information on to expand and get in a better position when you're buying a house, all right? So if you guys have never heard of escrow, first time, escrow, really quick, what that means is it's a third party. It's a third party who handles a transaction of you purchasing the home, where they hold funds, they hold contracts, they hold basically the whole transaction together from start to finish, allowing you to get through your process legally, protecting everyone else from any signs of trying to do someone dirty or do someone bad in that aspect. Escrow is great, third-party company. There's also a title that's involved in that. But right now we're talking about the escrow process. So step-by-step process from start to finish when you're buying a house. Keep in mind, video before this, if you haven't checked it out, talks about the buyer consultation, a little bit about the process to get into a house. So this is already considering you've done the buyer consultation, you've been pre-approved, all your documentation is on point, you've already went out to see a house, you found the house, and you wrote an offer. Keep that in mind. When we're talking about this, keep those steps in mind. Pre-approved, already found the house you like, wrote an offer, you got it accepted. So now we're gonna dive into that. Step one, your offer has been accepted and you get an opening email. So with escrow, there's a couple parties involved, and I won't dive into the parties because our last video talks a little bit more about the parties that are involved in that process. But escrow has an escrow officer, and then you have the listing agent or the selling agent in this case. Oftentimes you get a message either from the listing agent or the escrow officer. It's an opening escrow email basically telling you congratulations, your offer has been accepted. We're gonna be moving forward from this day, and your timeline starts on this time, on this day. For example, I opened an escrow today with a friend of mine, good friend of mine from high school. His name is Cito. Shout out to my man. We opened an escrow, we got the opening email, and right away the process starts. We kickstart it. First week is very important for you guys as buyers and or sellers, but in this case buyers, for you guys to understand that week 1 and week 4 of this process are very, very, very important. In between is important as well, but the start and the finish is very important in my opinion. A lot of, in particular, is the start, because you get this opening email and you got to start scrambling, and if you have a process, it's very easy, but you get a lot of things done. We kind of transfer over into step 2, which is very important. It's going to be scheduling your inspectors, scheduling your contractors. On your lender side, you're scheduling your appraisals if you have rushes, things like that. Why would you guys schedule these people? Some of you guys might ask, why do I schedule an inspector? Who is an inspector? What do they do? Common sense, but for the most part, if you don't know, an inspector is someone that we recommend, at least on my end. I like to recommend someone that we've done a lot of business with. Totally up to you if you guys would want to use your own. You have a family, your dad, uncle, cousin, brother, friend does inspections and they're licensed, hey, by so means you do it. You don't have to legally do an inspection. It's just something we recommend, okay? So with an inspector, you have a home inspector, and this person tells you, they don't tell you what is good or bad. They just tell you what they see of the house that may or may not need repairs. For the most part, they're very, 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 very on point with how things break down. But the home inspectors give you what they see inside and outside the home. So basically, you're gonna go from the roof to the attic, to the plumbing, to the electrical, to the foundation, flooring, and a lot of the cosmetic work as well they go through. And then you have a termite inspector. So you have your home inspector, you have your termite inspector who specializes in termite infestations and things like that with wood products or windows or your awnings or anything outside. They refer back to that. And that's something that's important as well, because that can cause future further damage if you don't assess that. And you always want to go into a house knowing exactly what's wrong with the property, what needs to be fixed, or what has already been fixed and you're okay with for a certain time, like your roof, like your plumbing, like your electrical and things like that, okay? So again, very important. You don't have to do it. It's not a law to do it. It's just recommended to do it. Home inspector, termite inspector. I put contractor in here. Other people can say electrician, plumber, roofer, whatever. Contractor you put in there I'm speaking on my behalf, and the reasons why I do what I do in this process is because a contractor more often than not can come in and give you an estimate. They'll give you a quote or an estimate on how much this inspector's repair list came out, and how much it's going to cost you to repair. And you can use that in many ways. You can use that for you to know that you're going to pay this much to repair it if you're buying an as-is property, or I like to use it as leverage. Now I have a quote from the contractor telling me all the repairs that are showing on this inspection is going to cost me this much. Now, can you support me with some seller credit? Can you support me with repairing that? There's different ways to negotiate through the deal, which is kind of the next point. And it's a great transition is once you get all of this homework done here with your inspections and your contractors, you're going to get a bid more often than not. And with that bid, you use your negotiation. You and your listing agent, you and your selling agent or your realtor are going to go back to the drawing board and going to figure out, okay, this is what we have on the board right now. This is what the repairs are calling. We got some roof leaks. We got some plumbing leaks. We need some more upgraded plumbing, galvanized, copper, whatever it may be. Just throwing some stuff out there for you guys, and you negotiate. You use the bid plus the repair, the home inspection report, and you figure out how you can get a little bit more pull on your side of the contract, on your side of the negotiation. I really like to use this as leverage for seller credit. Personally, I would rather have my buyer use their people to repair the home. Again, I may have trust issues. It may just be from past traumas, but it's always best when you have, and I refer this to my clients, but you have someone that you know, love, care, and trust to do your repairs on your house so that you don't have to come back to the seller because they did a Mickey Mouse job or you didn't think they did a good job. We're just avoiding those. We're avoiding that to even begin with, okay? So that's where I would go with that. But again, step 3, negotiations, figuring that out, getting a seller credit, getting your repairs done, moving forward to step 4. Step 4, you got your appraisal. This is very important, and all of these spots that I'm hitting right now are very important because they're very good, solid milestones within your transaction that can either make or break your deal. With the repairs, let's say you have foundation problems, it's $50,000 to repair a foundation. Will you do it? Will you not? That'll determine whether you continue to the next step or you cut the deal. Okay? Now, step 4, going back to the appraisal, same thing. Some appraisers, most of their job is meant to just give you value on the house. You offer $550,000. Appraiser will come in and say, yes, you're good to go, or no, you're not good to go. And if they say you're not good to go, depending on your contracts, you explore it again and you renegotiate. This is the second time you're negotiating within your escrow. Now you're negotiating price. In this market right now, it is a total seller's market. With buyers, you can purchase, but I always recommend in this market to purchase if you're doing a long-term thing, if you're going to be there for a while. Because right now what's going on is we're running into this negotiation of appraisals they're going above what they're actually listed for. So people are offering $550, the house is really worth $530. So you're having to cover the difference out of pocket. You're only getting a loan for $530. You committed to $550, now you're having to cover the difference. Make sense? So that 20 grand has to be covered by someone. Usually the contract determines that, and this is where this comes out. Other things that can come out in an appraisal, if it's something that's converted in the city of Compton, and I use Compton because that's where my parents live, that's where we shoot these videos. In the city of Compton, there's a pre-sale report. A pre-sale report is basically telling you what the house had before it sold the previous time and what it needs to look like again this upcoming sale, whether it's getting new permits or converting back whatever it is that was converted that doesn't have permits, and kind of moving forward on that. So this can all kind of either make or break the deal, but it's a step that you have to contact and that you have to face head on to make sure you're getting to the last step or the last 2 steps. Okay, guys? If you have questions about any of this, let me know. Finishing up, after you've done your negotiations, all your repairs are complete, all the credit has been done, everything has been signed off by the inspectors, the appraisers, yourself. The numbers are good, your file is complete, and by your file I mean by with the lenders. They've completed everything that needs to be done on their side with the numbers. You're going to go to your walkthrough. You're going to do your final walkthrough, and that's where you go back one last time. I recommend anywhere from the last day to 3 days before your close of escrow to walk the property. I like to go the day before we close or 2 days before we close to walk the property and make sure that everything that you saw after the repairs were completed is still there. Oftentimes you'll run into people who on the contracts, they didn't know that the stove had to stay, the pool had to stay. By pool, I mean like a 30-foot pool that you buy at Home Depot, or the grill had to stay, or the fire pit was staying, or the fridge, or anything that has to stay, solar for instance, if on the contract it says that it has to stay, sometimes sellers just forget and they take it, whatever. That can be an issue. That's the reason why we do these final walkthroughs at the end of the deal, so that you can catch that right before people are leaving. You don't want to run into that, because then you run into this issue of chasing the agent down. As a realtor, you're chasing the other agent down. As a buyer, you're chasing the seller down, trying to get that back, depending on how strong you feel about that. So very important to do the final walkthrough. You're signing off at this point in the contract, letting everyone know that you are in full agreement that the property is now yours, and everything that has been done and is done, you're taking responsibility on from this day forward. When we close, it's on you. Final walkthrough. And the best one, step 6, guys. Everybody likes step 6. You get your keys. So once everything is all said and done, and I'm going to walk you guys through a time frame right now, a little timeline at the bottom. Once everything is said and done, escrow has been started, closed, inspections, everything is agreed on, contracts are signed, executed, and we're done. The county has recorded your name, title is done. You're going to get your keys. And this is really, 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 really important. As an agent, this is the part of the job that I enjoy. I get to meet with people that have been my friends since we were babies, have been my friends since I first started playing soccer. Some people I've known for a year or two now, and you get closer and closer, and you connect with people emotionally on a personal level. And that's something that I enjoy about this business, is we get to be in relationship. I'm all about relationships. And with that, you get to share a bond with someone who is either purchasing their first home, purchasing their child's home, purchasing their retirement home, downgrading to something for their needs and their family. And it's emotional connection, or vice versa when you're selling. So it's very important that this process is made smoothly, and the end is made with something that's memorable, something that you get to enjoy and share with both, because they allowed you to be a part of their process. And I'm speaking to my realtors right now. The buyers allowed us to be a part of this process with them. They trusted us, we guided them, and now it's a connection that we're finishing off with something strong. So with keys, it's very important. I find it very emotional and a very important, impactful time. So if you guys haven't experienced it, try to get something that you guys can connect with. For my realtors and to my buyers, don't have an expectation, but it's very important that you try to connect with your realtor on that aspect, and try to make sure that the process is smooth, because it's something that you go on this journey together, and it could be a roller coaster ride. So something to think about for you guys, man. Just to wrap it up real quick, taking you guys back through this timeline. I'm going to erase this just because it's probably not as noticeable with everything around it. You see. All right, guys. So basically, giving you guys a timeline real quick. Most escrows, and I didn't talk about, are anyone for 1 to 30 days. Actually, they're 30 days. They're not 1 day. They're 30 days on average. Can go up to 60, 90, as far as you want, as long as you negotiate the contract. But average, 30 days. All right. So I'm going to use the 30-day spectrum right now. Opening day, you got day 1. As soon as you get that opening message, that marks day 1. Very important that we kind of note here. Within 3 days, you have to get your deposit over, guys. So if you're a buyer, let's just say you have an initial deposit on your contract of 10 grand. You have 3 days to send it. Escrow will send you an opening package with escrow instructions. You got to wire that money, or drop a cashier's check, or whatever it is that you figure out. Right now, it's all wires. All right. 3 days, EMD, earnest money deposit. Following that, 2 key time frames, 17 days, 21 days. 17 days refers back to the repairs. Within 17 days, you have to release your contingencies, meaning you have done all your homework, the repairs have been completed, you have agreed and signed off that everything is done to the T regarding your repairs and the negotiations. Following that, appraisals within the 17 days, then you have your loan. So that's where the lender comes in and tells you, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Smith, your loan has been approved. You are good to release it. At this point, day 21, your initial EMD is 10 grand. Let me know if I'm confusing you guys, but when you come into a transaction or a process of a purchase, there has to be some kind of skin in the game. So your initial deposit is maybe 3% of the full amount. So you coming in with 10 grand, but your full amount is, I don't know, 25 grand or something like that, right? Come in with 10 grand. At day 21, you're basically signing off at that point, saying that you're going to close the deal. You're giving your $10,000 up to the seller because you have already agreed and done your homework that you're good to close. After day 21, you go to day 27. Between 27 and 29 is when you do your final walkthrough. You get ready to wrap up, get your keys, lock it down, and boom, day 30, you get your keys. Sometimes you can close sooner if your lender and your realtor are badass. Oftentimes we close very soon, but more often than not, we keep it at 30. Keep it at 30 and lock it in and get your keys. So if you guys have any questions in regards to the escrow process, I know it was a long talk, something that you guys need to get educated on because it's a roller coaster ride. Again, it's something that as the buyer, you go through an emotional roller coaster, and a realtor joins you in that, and they just have to try to make it as smooth as possible in guiding you there. So again, guys, share this video, like this video, comment, subscribe, share, love, like, everything in between. I appreciate you guys. Love you. Peace.